So my name's Gianni Frankis. I'm a former GB athlete. Used to run the 110 meter hurdles, and in retirement, obviously, I wanted to use those skills that I learned. Obviously, becoming a coach was an obvious thing, and I set up the company 110% Beyond Your Limits. The name, obviously, 110 meter hurdles was my thing. 110% is a really good sport mantra, so it made sense. And I also did it with my former coach, who was Tony Jarrett, who was also a famous hurdler. So it is predominantly athletics based, but obviously athletic development is a big part of all sports as well. So it's coaching from a multi-sports angle and generally targeted towards elite sport. We are very lucky that we have a lot of good athletes that are at the top level. Most of our athletes are in the top 10 of the country in their age groups. What makes it great, I think, is the ability to try and bring someone who has got talent to the professional level, and I think that's what we always aim to do. It's quite well documented that professional athletes and sports people struggle in retirement to find a purpose after that. Nothing ever feels as good as what you used to do. And then if you're trying to set up your business, that's something that you have to learn. And I never grew up with the sort of the education to know everything about the ins and outs of business. So that was a learning process, particularly in retirement. In terms of the learning process, I think a lot of it was done from online learning. It was discussing with other people who have made that transition and learning from other industries, such as things that are closer to what we do. In fact, other sports wasn't always as close to athletics as you think, because football, rugby, they're team sports and tend to have contracted services under employment. So I was looking more at creative industries and how they run their stuff. And that was where I got a lot of the ideas for some of the free market relaxations that I wanted in our sport back then. In IPSE, they do a lot on that sort of thing. So that's why the membership's important, because it was at that point I started to see tutorials, talking to other people, and I started to think, how could I turn this generally volunteer work or hobby work or small business into something a little bit more professional, more formal, more expansive, and that was really what I wanted to do, because I wanted to keep it to the elite level, because that's how I saw myself, In terms of our own expansion, as well as also the passion side of it, is that we obviously can't be everywhere coaching every athlete in the country, and we want to offer it as much as possible. And, we talk to coaches all the time. We share information all the time. We work under the same conditions, and, people ask questions. So, why not formalize that a little bit more and make that into something that we can offer on a bigger scale? We have started in the last year or so to offer workshops to other coaches, and that's something that we advertise as CPD. And so we've done a lot more at schools now, working with PE staff, and it seems to go down really well, because things that seem basic to us are real golden nuggets to PE teachers. And so it made a natural progression to think, if we're going to spread the word about how to coach and get more athletes involved, naturally the business side is going to grow, and they will also need help with that. It's not just about the actual service that you're providing. Most coaches, I found, were passionate about what they did, and it was all about the service, just as what I was like when I started. But it took hours of learning how to run the business, hours learning from tutorials, talking to other people. Not everyone has access to that. So it's a service that I could also offer other coaches. The workshops is the service. It is working on the passion and the service side of coaching. The virtual system works on the business side of the coaching. But when I had the opportunity to move out of self-employment once retirement happened, I still wanted that flexibility, and I still feel like that's the best thing about it. And I'm still doing something that I want to do. I tend to come from a rights background. I care about people's rights, and tend to want to try and improve the situation as a whole, rather than just for myself. So to improve the actual landscape, so people can flourish a little bit more. That is also where the coaches idea, or helping the coaches, came from. It's not just about myself. I care about the rights of other coaches. I care about helping them and, improving the whole landscape. That's generally where my passion comes from.